Hello everybody, so welcome to the fifth part of the tutorial after this complicated problem solving with the switch object, but now we are good. So now I will program a baseline. So seq.list, and this time my argument will be 2. Why is that, you may think? Well, because I would like to use like MIDI values, and MIDI values are always a pair of values, so pitch and velocity. So that's the format I want to use for the baseline, because I want to have control on the pitch and on the velocity. Let me copy that so that I don't have to write it again. Great. So I was thinking about making really old school kind of techno baseline. So I already thought about it, so normally it should be quite efficient. Let's see. Ah yes, I was talking about pitch and velocity, and I forget velocity. So for now I will just do a little sequence, and also I will convert everything to MIDI values, so 80 is far too high for a baseline. I think we should use, we will do some tests, but let's say 20. If it's too low, I will increase the value. So, okay, we have our sequence. Now, as the argument is 2 here, after the fraction value, it will look for the 2 next values. So they will come by pairs, and if I were to write something like that, but I'll show you that in another video, it would make a chord of, well, not it doesn't need to be a chord, but it will make 2 pairs of 2. Well, a pair is 2, so yes, but 2 pairs. Here is just 1 pair that comes. Anyway, so I need to unpack those values, because I will treat the pitch and the velocity differently. So for the pitch, we will simply use this object M2F, which is MIDI to frequency. And for the velocity, we divided by the maximum value, 127, so it gives a range between 0 and 1. This value will be sent to an envelope, an attack, decay, sustain, release, if you don't know what ADSR means. So let's do a short attack, something like that, a sustain of 80%, and a release, a short release, like, I don't know, 10 also. Then I need an oscillator. I will use a square wave. Square. Then put a volume modifier for the envelope to work. And yes, now I will show you that it won't work properly. I know maybe I should have done that in another order, but doesn't work because in order to use MIDI in the right way that was intended at the when MIDI was created, in pure data we have an object to treat MIDI message. We have many objects in fact, but the one that we will need to use is someone which is called make note. I know it's not a person, but anyway, provide 2 arguments, but that will change. So now we send this without the unpack, so the pair will come directly into it, but it will know how to interpret. So the first value is pitch and the second is velocity. And which is what is interesting with the make note object, it will also send the note of message, so a 0 when the note is over. And that's where the rightmost inlet of my sequencer is useful, because it outputs exactly the value of the ratio here. So of course it will adapt to the BPM, but it will take like for example here 120 BPM, and this first value will be the half of a beat for in milliseconds of what a beat is in 120, and I think it's like, yes, it's half of a second if I'm not wrong. So a beat in 120 BPM is 500 milliseconds, so half of that is 250 seconds. And before, how to say that? The problem is if I used the value directly in this is the inlet for the time value, the sustain value if you want, the duration, there will be some bugs because the note will exactly end when the new note comes. Here there are no succeeding notes, so I think it wouldn't be a problem, but in most of the case you'd like to reduce this value by just 1 millisecond, just to ensure that there is a note of message that is sent before the new note comes. So normally this one should work now properly. Let's see. Okay, so yes, you see when I go to this MIDI to frequency, it outputs 25, which is 25 Hertz. I think it's not even our ears aren't designed for such low frequency. So I need to send back. Okay, there is still. Okay, at least it's a range, a normal range. Okay. Let's try another, maybe it's this object, I never saw it. Okay. Yes, I got confused because there is a square object from the library else, but it seems now there is a square object into pure data vanilla, as we call it, so pure data without any externals. So I didn't know that. Great, so our bass is working. Let's use the throw object and put it in a subpatch so that we can use the switch on-off trick so that our CPU is preserved. Base. I was looking for a name, but it's pretty straightforward. So let's take all that. So in fact I want to use a square wave. So if you have this kind of problem, you can simply put the name of the library first, then a slash, and then the name of the object. Yes, and write it correctly, of course. So here we are. Here we have our square object from square oscillators, I should say, from the library else. And for switch, it's quite simple because the ADSR envelope is really designed so that the rightmost inlet is really used for that switch on, switch off thing. And just to be sure, I put a toggle because we already had some surprise last time and even this time, so we're never too sure. Yes, exactly. So if I put that out and I activate it, I know what's the problem. It's simple, because I already had this problem in another video, but did not really mention why. In fact, when you cut and paste things that receive values, they don't remember what was received before the cut. So I have to send back the BPM value. So yeah, when you use it can happen when you use a sustained value that is less than 1, that it creates some clicks because the distance between you see there is the attack which will go up to 1, and then the decay which go to 1 up to the sustained value. And if the bump is so higher than the sustained value, if it does really like a crazy thing and you put a sustained value of, I don't know, 50, it can create a click. So by putting up to 1, there is no, in fact, hill. The decay will stay on 1 and the sustain will stay on 1. So it's more like in that case, it's more an attack sustain release value. But maybe if I go just a bit down, it will give this plucky feeling. Okay, there is no click, but there is a bit more. Maybe I can go even lower and increase a bit the value here. Okay, it's a bit more rhythmic. Let me just check. Oh. So, thanks for watching. Yes, I have to stop videos around the 15-minute mark, so see you next time.